All right, this is Len with Commexis, and today on the lab, we are going to take a look at the new ChatGPT apps that were just released. So last week, OpenAI ChatGPT had quite a few big announcements. Sora 2, you probably haven't turned around anywhere without seeing information on those video image generation by AI. They're amazing. We didn't really run a lab here because there's so much out there for it. The next thing is agent mode. So basically, you can go to OpenAI and you're going to be able to start creating agents that are actually going to be able to carry out tasks for you online, which is kind of a really, really big breakthrough. And the step before we're going to move to a lot of autonomous work. We'll probably do something, once we have that up and running. We haven't had a chance to test that out. We will record it and put that up on the lab to kind of give you our thoughts. But this one here, we wanted to take a look at ChatGPT apps. We found it to be really, really interesting. We found this to be further solidify something that's really not talked about in the marketing world. A lot of people are trying to tell you, okay, well, we have to give the companies an LLM. We have to appear in ChatGPT, and you do. But the main takeaway here is things are really changing. So your lead generation or how you're communicating with prospective clients or even clients is really, really changing, and the ground is shifting underneath you. And I don't think a lot of people are paying attention to that. So one of the things we wanted to test when we heard about the apps was this. And phone call. We there's no scripts here. We just literally record and go. So there will be some hiccups as we do this. So we wanted to go in and do it. So basically ChatGPT released 5 apps, and the 5 they released, I know 3 off the top of my head, which is Zillow, which is the one we're going to test, Spotify, and Expedia. So basically you're taking all the information that ChatGPT gives you, and then you're plugging into a company specific app. So Zillow built an app that basically meant to work with ChatGPT and to help people, kind of decide what they want. So for argument's sake, let's take a look at that and we're going to test it out. So we're going to do the auto, let it pick the model. We're going to go down to apps, how to install these apps and all that. They're really, really easy. If you ever get lost, reach out to us. We can always help you kind of set this up. So we're going to kind of go through. What I'm going to do is I'm going to basically pretend I'm looking for an investment property down in Key West, Florida. I do like Key West, so I understand the location down there well. So I'm going to go in and say, let me go in and take a look. And here's going to be my prompt. And I will say, the reason this is a good test, because I do look for investment property in Key West. I do look for investment property down the Jersey Shore. So when I do that, while I do have ChatGPT up and running, I do have a custom GPT for it, and I have an agent that actually crawls and looks for properties for me. I do have to go to quite a few websites to try to pull and harvest all this data together, and then I run it through GPT to kind of start working with it. I never had something like this where I can basically stay within ChatGPT. So here's my prompt, basically kind of crude, looking for an investment property, Key West, 2-bedroom, monthly rental history, not far from Duval Street, under $1 million. We're going to hit search. So your classic, classic ChatGPT response. So it's connecting to the app right now, and it's going to kind of go through everything. Now, again, you would look for something like that in Google, and, Google would pull up some information, but not like this. So because you're connected, you have the app. So it's identifying properties for me right here. Okay. So it's $1 million. So I'm just going to grab, let me just take a look at a property here in Southard Street. Okay. That's actually not a bad location. So we're going to take a look. So again, I'm all within a ChatGPT. I'm not really leaving. Now, remember, as we're testing this out, we're not on a realtor website. We're not on Google. I didn't click any ads. I didn't do any of that. I kind of have my criteria. I know what I'm looking for, and I go from there. So you can, on the right-hand side here, you can just kind of take a look at these, pictures. You're like, okay, yeah, for a monthly rental, it's not a bad spot. If you're a couple coming down for a month, Key West, or maybe even rent it out for the entire year to one of the workers down there. Okay, not bad. So I have some other criteria that I like to ask. So, all right, so $869, 2 bedrooms. What monthly outlay be, including the all-important insurance down there? Insurance, property managers, that's what you need if you're not in an area. You need to have somebody help you out in case there's an issue. Manager, insurance, property manager, HOA, which is huge down there, especially in Florida. What will my monthly outlay be? I'm just going to do some crude prompts here. So it's thinking, it's kind of going through this. So notice I'm doing all of my research right in one spot right here. So I do find this to be interesting. So kind of going through it. So right here, monthly mortgage is going to be about $5,300, principal and interest, taxes, homeowners insurance. All right, so turnkey. So basically, you're looking to spend about $2,000 to $3,500 a month with 20% down. Look, we're not going to look at getting to the financials of this because that's not what this is for. It's more meant to show you, like, as you're doing research, you're in this spot, right? So let's just say you are potentially interested in this. Key West, the upside is while you may have a monthly investment you have to put in, they do typically do grow for 10% almost every single year. So that's kind of a very different way to. Key West is kind of an outlier compared to the rest of Florida when you're looking at investing. So you want to think about another question. Say, who would be the best fit to rent this to ensure I have no vacancy? That's probably going to obviously come in and it's going to tell you, probably a seasonal worker, a lot of military down there. There's a couple military bases down there. So it's probably going to tell you something like that. But traveling professionals, okay. Actually, funny is I didn't even think about traveling professionals, remote workers, long stay professionals. Here's military. Traveling professionals, remote work. Okay, so it's literally, okay, so now I have an idea what my investment is. I kind of now know who I'm going to go target. This is kind of what I want. And I think there's a whole business where, a lot of people, they don't use realtors for rental. There's various different ways they go about it. There's a lot of concierge services down in Key West. There's a lot of great realtors down there as well. But again, it's the amount of information that you're getting back all in one spot. So typically when you're going to go look for something, you may identify a property, right? And then you're going to take some notes down. You're going to go back to Google, okay? And you're going to start looking for other types of things. There's properties down there or websites that actually give you rental rates and all kinds of stuff that you can kind of go through, which is really good. You don't need that anymore. So what is that taking away? Well, that's eliminating websites I may go to, okay? That's eliminating the chance for pay-per-click that I may go to. That's also eliminating the chance of you retargeting me on an ad. So I'm within an ecosystem right here. Now imagine. So now you have this, right? Now imagine you can stack other apps in here. Let's just say you can stack like a Rocket Mortgage app in there. Let's just say, or like some sort of mortgage underwriter, where you can get a pre-qualification letter right away. And I'm just kind of riffing here as I'm talking about this, but, or even maybe kind of going in for another app and say, hey, can you give me comp properties right now that are, and you probably could do this right on ChatGPT. Why don't we try that? Any comp properties for rentals that we can compare. And how does spelling property. By the way, you don't really need to be perfect on spelling with ChatGPT. It really can decipher all that. It's really good. All right, so it's thinking again, it's giving more information, but I'm just again showing you the digging. And again, if you're a business owner, right now you got to start thinking about things like, okay, well, my website's not in play, my pay-per-click's not in play, my retargeting is not in play. So let's just say, you're a realtor and this is something, you do rely on people coming to Google and looking for properties and then you helping them find a property and so forth. While your local knowledge is always going to be better than ChatGPT because you're boots on the ground, keep in mind, it is a very, very educated consumer that's coming to you. So, all right, so it's gave me two responses here. Wish I could blow this up. I know you can. There's a way in which we could blow this screen up. But here are the responses. We're just going to grab one. You can scroll over and look at it. So it's given Mickens Lane as a 2. So we're just going to stick with this one right here. All right, so, but again, we're not worried about the numbers. We're just worried about what it's coming back to. You prefer this response. So how does this say? So look, again, you can even kind of go build me an ROI sheet. Here's a verdict. Mickens outperforms most condos. That's not us, right? Or Southern Street. So that does well. So, okay, now that I'm down there, I'm like, all right, Mickens Lane outperforms. Well, now I'm going to go in and say, okay, find me something like Mickens Lane. Again, irrelevant what it comes back up with, but it's just showing you how the ultimate goal that we pulled away from this lab experiment is they are clearly trying, and it just did a little hiccup there. Actually, I can show you how we can even make this go back. We can actually go back. It'll pull the chat up for me. All right, so here are the current ones, 2 bedroom use filters. Okay, would you like me to narrow the search? We'll say yes. Just kind of give it to us. We're just testing it out. But It's clear that the results that we really are pulling from this lab experiment is that ChatGPT's future is to keep you within ChatGPT. I don't think there's any question that you're going to be asking questions, interacting. I do think there's going to be ads somewhere here. I don't know how ChatGPT is going to do it, but ads will be here. I think you're going to be able to advertise your app as an app somebody's going to want to use, like you should use our app. And there's going to be a way in which there could be a searchable way, much like your app store, promote it and so forth. So that's going to be coming. So what this is showing me is ChatGPT is clearly trying to become the operating platform of your life. They want you to live within this ecosystem. They're going to put ads within this ecosystem. I do believe their business model is going to be a little different. I think they are going to charge you a subscription rate. I don't know what that rate is, but when you see the power of this, nobody's going to balk at subscription rate. You don't balk at Netflix. You wouldn't balk at something like this. The takeaway is, I think by middle 2026, most companies are going to have some sort of plan in place to have these apps built and actually get aggressively in the app store. Remember, there's over 1 billion users on ChatGPT right now. This is the future of how people are looking for things. This is where marketing is going. You need to have a blueprint ready and you need to have it laid out and start thinking about what the next steps are. Yes, you have to have, one foot, on the side of we still need lead generation, but on the other side, it's got to be what can we build? What can we get ready for the new lead generation? So the app thing was interesting. We really like testing this out. We will be looking at other things as well, but they're saying by the end of the year, they're going to start accepting applications for apps. So it's something you might want to put on your radar. So as a business owner, as a CEO, really, really make this part of your 2026 initiatives as you are winding down for the year, start to think about what to do. I'm very, very impressed with what this is. I mean, I'm so impressed right now that there's really no reason for me just to do research just outside of ChatGPT plugged in with the Zillow app and so forth. So I found that to be very, very interesting. The only thing we realized you couldn't do though on this right now, if you have custom GPTs, like I have a custom GPT for investments, and we even tried to do custom GPT for one of our clients. We tried to pull in an app. You can't do that yet. So I'm hoping that they pull this in. And I don't necessarily think this is going to get rid of custom GPTs. I know that was a question somebody had, I heard on a podcast. I think custom GPTs are still going to be here, but I thought that was interesting that I wasn't allowed to pull that in to really kind of make the GPT smarter and smarter. Highly recommend it. If you haven't used it, use it. We do like it. We come across some things we don't like. This was really, really strong. So hopefully you will like this lab experiment.